Iran and the UN atomic watchdog have failed to find a way out of the stalemate over Tehran's nuclear program at fresh talks. The meeting took place amid reports that Iran's installed more uranium enrichment facilities at one of its plants. Let's talk to Gareth Porter, an investigative journalist and analyst on US foreign and military policies, joining us on the line there from Washington. Hi, Mr. Porter. So, as I said there, these talks have failed once again. Whose fault is it, do you think, or are both parties equally to blame?
I think what's really going on here is that the IAEA is following a general script or a strategy that is clearly determined by the major powers, primarily the United States, which is to keep Iran on the defensive. And in order to do that, of course, to keep the idea uppermost in the headlines covering this issue of the Iranian nuclear program, that the Iranians are unwilling to cooperate with the IAEA. The issue here is not whether Iran is willing to allow the agency to come to look at this site that has been requested by the agency, but rather whether the agency is willing to agree to a set of principles governing the broader set of issues surrounding the cooperation between Iran and the agency. And this is primarily a question of whether Iran will be allowed to have an exit from the process of being examined or investigated by the IAEA. The IAEA basically does not want to have any sort of endpoint to the process, even if the Iranians cooperate fully.
So no end date set even yet for further talks. I mean, how long could this stalemate go on?
I think the stalemate is going to go on as long as the broader or the higher level stalemate between the Iranians and the P5+1, the permanent 5 members of the Security Council plus Germany, continues. That is to say, as long as there are either talks or the talks have broken down and the two sides are basically talking about what to do now. I mean, I think the fact is that the IAEA is not truly independent. It's going to continue to follow a line that is convenient for the P5+1.
Well, all this is Israel, of course, continuing its accusations today, accusing Iran of speeding up its work on a nuclear bomb. Will those claims lead to any further action, i.e., going back to what you've just said, who is likely to blink first, for want of a better word?
Well, I've been saying for some months now that the whole idea that Benjamin Netanyahu really seriously contemplates an attack on Iran is really quite fanciful. I mean, the fact is that he has been even more cautious in reality than his predecessor, Ehud Olmert, whose government actually did threaten outright to attack Iran quite explicitly, whereas in fact, the present prime minister has never explicitly said if the Iranians refuse to stop their nuclear program, we will attack them. What he really wants is for the United States to do that, and his suggestions, his hints along these lines are really intended to push the Obama administration in the direction of accepting his red line, which is no allowing of Iran to have even a capability to enrich uranium.
Gareth, final thought from you. Amidst all these sanctions that are being imposed on Iran, on Sunday, Iran's hosting a high-profile summit of nations which don't consider themselves allied to any power bloc. The UN's chief's going to be there as well, among around 51 national leaders. As the host, what does it say about how much Iran is or indeed isn't isolated by the world and these restrictions that we've been seeing?
Well, there's no doubt that Iran has quite a bit of support among the non-aligned movement, among those countries that are the nuclear have-nots, if you will. They do, in fact, have a lot of support for the point of view which they espouse, which is that they have a right to enrich uranium and that the Western powers are essentially trying to take that away from them for political purposes, essentially using a double standard or even worse.
Gareth Porter, thanks very much. Gareth Porter, US foreign and military analyst there, live from Washington, D.C. Thank you.